but we should be good. What's the difference between C2 Carbon and Pro Classic?
Self-driving cars, but not a multi-streaming service.
We got self-driving cars, but we don't have a multi-streaming service. I hear ya. Waiting for my headphones to connect. They should be better now. I don't want to get into it too much, but honestly, the problem is TikTok. TikTok doesn't play nice with other services. Most of the other ones, they work fine. TikTok don't like the other ones. They want you to be on there and use all their stuff. So through a whole bunch of custom fiddly things, we're up and running on both. All right, so we're going to hand cut this. I feel like he's already got a ceramic coating on this. I noticed it on the windshield too. Do you use C2 carbon? Yes, I do. I use C2 carbon. I use C2 ceramic, along with Pro Nano. We're kind of transitioning over to C2 ceramic from Pro Nano, especially in certain shades right now, because it looks better. Which reminds me, I got the 35 and I didn't get the short roll, and it would have been really helpful right now to have the short roll. But that's okay. Is C2 carbon better than Pro Classic? Yes. Sorry, I kind of missed that. C2 carbon is definitely a better film than Pro Classic. Pro Classic is a color stable dyed film, but it's only better in terms of heat rejection. I don't think I can do this twice like that. Yeah, it's a little short. So Pro Classic is a color stable dyed film. It doesn't really block out any additional heat, but it's a rock solid film. So if you just want a nice tinted look, Pro Classic is great. C2 carbon has the benefit of blocking some additional heat, and it does that with the carbon. So the darker that you go in the carbon, the more heat that it's gonna block. Not everybody cares about that. So when I was just doing tint jobs and no upgrades, it was Pro Classic. But then when C2 came out, that's when I really focused on a good, better, best model. Geo is ridiculously priced, like ridiculously good value. I agree. I agree. People focus too much on a single cost on the roll. Divvy that price up by 8. 2-ply or 1-ply? Man, this coating. 2-ply or 1-ply? We don't really talk in plies. So C2 ceramic is a 1.5 mil film. Apex is like a 2 mil film. Pro Nano is a 2 mil. You can still get a good film that's not necessarily 1.5 mil even, but the majority of professional films are that. So do you have any Geo PPF training coming up? No. You're not gonna get to a fair spot. As soon as you open the door, the whole thing drops down. So like you're not really, I've done them quite a few, you're not really covering anything. So this right now is lifted all the way up. So when this is like tricking the door as if it was closed. So it really doesn't matter as much. What about Geo PPF training? Who do you recommend for Geo PPF training? I don't think they have any GeoShield specific training right now. Honestly, if you're for PPF training, hit up Optical. Optical at Car Supplies Warehouse. They have, so if you look at the YouTube channel, they came out here and they did some personalized training for me because we shot some videos. Those are up on the channel. They're amazing. Yeah, we had a special PPF event at the SEMA garage. That was kind of a one-off event. I would ask them if they're going to do another one. I'm pretty sure we're planning another one, but we don't have any details. So, but I know as soon as that one was done, they wanted to do another one because of how well it was. Thoughts on Lexan or Tint X? Pure Max is decent. I haven't looked at any of them in a while though. It's never something I can recommend. But a lot of people in the community use it, so I'm not just gonna diss them. It's just not something I use. Should I use the 5% Pro Classic for back windows and C2 Carbon for the fronts? I don't think the price difference really makes it matter that much. But yeah, you're not wrong in that. How is PPF going? That's a good question. How is it going? We're not doing a ton with it right now. So stay tuned. What causes hazy / blurry tint? Cheap materials. So for carbon and ceramic, the way that they get their heat blocking properties is from actual carbon and ceramic particles. The smaller that they can make those, which is where you hear the term nano, smaller that they can make those, the clearer the film. So you could have 60 nanometer particles making your film look hazy, and 30 nanometer particles making your film look very clear. Like, it just depends on how evenly they distribute those particles. So with cheaper stuff, it still has it, but they're just not near as refined. So that's where you get that haze from. So that's why I just suggest, staying away from the really cheap carbons and ceramics, because then it starts obstructing your driving on a sunny day, and the whole point is to block some extra heat. So if you're trading off visibility for heat block, I don't really think that's a smart way to go. But there's clearly a market for it. Does ceramic really block heat? Yes. It would be worth it to walk into a tint shop and see if they have a sales demo. A lot of them have a heat box where they can show you firsthand just the amount of heat that it can block. That's what we have here, so people can feel the difference before they even put it on their car. That kind of stuff is really nice. A little bit more on this. Model Y has really tall, curved front doors. So this, we got to shrink a little bit farther than your average truck or SUV. Let's check it. Rock Rose. Rock Rose is, I didn't think it could get cheaper than Lexan, and then Rock Rose came out. You know what's funny is I just saw a post in our Facebook group. Lexan themselves are a Lumar Formula One shop, and they still install Lumar Formula One. And they had a post that was advertising it on like a Lambo that they just tinted. And it's like, well, if Lexan themselves feels the need to still use somebody else's film, there's your guys that'll get Lexan and are just very price conscious, and then there's guys that are more brand aware. So there's always a reason to have something else like that. That's much better. I like this. Okay. Where you at? This is Detroit Tint Studio, Sterling Heights, Michigan. 18 and Mound. Look us up on maps. Do you have anything to the windshield to avoid sun? Yeah, we have window films. Like this, you can put on your windshield. What type of tint? You can do any of the films. We've done Pro Classic 50 on the windshields, 35. If you're just looking to block glare, that's fine. If you want to block some additional heat, in the lighter shades, ceramic is always recommended. Where can I find your keg hose and handle? 313tint.com. It's literally called the tint keg. The new setup is so fire. Thank you. We did a lot with it. Procrastination while watching you when I should be doing an F-250. Man, I'm jealous. I want to switch. Can we trade? I'll do an F-250. As long as it's not like the 2005 model with a back window. If it's the newer ones, I'll be way happier. This has a lot of frameless doors. Pretty straightforward as far as Tesla goes. Just 4 frameless doors, bigger windshield, a little bit more difficult to do. How much would a 2019 F-115 cost to get tinted? Depends on the film. So if we're doing the whole thing with the windshield, it would start at $450 in Pro Classic and $550 in carbon. $700 if we're doing ceramic. You're welcome, pal. Can tint shops do home windows to keep the heat out? Yes, absolutely. So you're going to use a different type of film. For houses, we generally use reflective architectural films that are made for it, not just the same ceramic that you see putting on here. Ooh, a little bit more back. Oh, that's nice. Nice. I like this. Should I do 50 all around and 80 on the windshield? It's a little lighter, but I mean, it's your car. It's up to you. Yes, you can use car tint on a house window. You want to be sure that that film is not going to absorb over 50% of the heat. So a dyed film honestly should be okay, but it depends on the glass. We can't just recommend the same stuff you put on cars is totally fine for houses too, because it's just not. Can the films for a house be totally transparent? We actually have a 70% ceramic that's safe for houses, yes. Yes, you can do that. But you just don't want to go with a darker automotive ceramic. The tint on my back window is bubbling. Can I remove it without damaging my defroster? In most cases, yes. It's not something that you can necessarily guarantee, but yeah. Yeah, you usually can. That front edge. That's tight on this one. What's your setup with the soap and water spray up? So I have what is called a tint keg. And I have 3 ounces of our tint slip in there. So 3 gallons of water, 3 ounces of slip, 1 ounce per gallon. That's hooked up there. And then you have the hose reels. So that right there is connected to those reels. It's nice. I like it. Yeah, tint slip's pretty good. Oh, that right there. That front corner. Do you like the flat angle or the cone spray? I think I've got one on each side. Do you sell the hose attachment by itself? No, not right now. We might in the future here. But you can buy them from Sun Distributing. So if you just search Tint Keg, you'll be able to find the individual hose, sprayers, parts, that kind of stuff. We sell it as just a total assembled thing. So they do all the little parts and pieces. The tanks are fun. I used a pump spray bottle. I used one of these forever. Poly 2s. You're constantly doing this. So they're decent. But kegs are better. They're just more convenient. Does free apply to Canada? No. No, Canada is way too expensive, unfortunately. I wish we could ship free to Canada. Yep. Well, I gotta see if we're still enabled film shipping to Canada. Because without modifying what the shipping should be, we honestly shouldn't be. So it might have been okay for a time, but that's the Markets Pro feature. Ever tried Reno? I never heard really good things about it, but I know there's a few shops that I know, like personally, a shop that uses it, and they wouldn't use it if they thought it was bad. So maybe they just had some bad runs years ago and they've improved. I don't know. There's certain films that just have kind of a really bad reputation. That was one of them that people talked about for a while as like being a pretty competitive one that just had a bunch of failures at some point. Really toasts a window film brand. So I just don't know. Been using it for 5 years, no issues. Nice. Yeah, those types of questions, like, those are always really good for our Facebook community. Because then you get actual, like, community feedback with shops that have used it. I haven't. I pay attention to what goes on in the group. And so when I see a film brand just getting completely lit up, I kind of, like, put them on my mental shit list of companies that I probably don't want to entertain. But every film company has a client base. So some companies, they have some bad runs, and then next thing you know, they fix things. And then we don't necessarily get updates saying that now they're amazing. You usually just hear a lot of bad. All right, let's fix these corners. I heard Ray-Ban was bad. I always wanted to see Oakley coming out with a film brand. I thought that would be fun. They should come out with like a chameleon one. Pure Max goes toe-to-toe with C2. Yeah, from what I saw, it was fairly similar. Both of them have carbon in them, and the heat is basically the same. The color profiles are going to be a little bit better on C2, but it's kind of like a nitpicky thing when you're in there looking out. I wasn't really a fan of how, like, at least at the time, how pale Pure Max looked, but performance was there for sure. Shrinking wasn't too bad. C2 was a little better, but do you always hand cut? No. No, we have 2 machines, and it kind of depends on the windows. Honestly, on the back of this, I would rather just plotter cut, but we already have glass aid on there, so I might as well just use it. We were talking this morning. But I like to try and get as close of a fit as I can, and I just have years of being jaded on plotter software, but this would have been a decent one to just cut out and see how they line up. Glass aid helps not cut the glass too. So glass aid helps keep the blade off the window. And then somebody had just asked, why did you just cut on the window? So stainless is going to be the safest. If I'm going to make any cuts, they're going to be really, really small. So trying to fine tune those top edges and the corners with a light trim isn't going to do anything. What happens is people try and do way too much. So the total outline of the back window, long straight lines in the center, that kind of stuff. Those may not even necessarily show, but every once in a while you'll get a window where it shows a lot. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to just be really selective on when I do it and how. Can you tint the windshield and get a brow strip? Mm-hmm. Been having quite a few issues with C2 scratching using hard cards to swipe edges. Don't use hard cards to swipe your edges. Or what kind of cards are you using? Are you using like tri-edge cards? Because part of it is always making sure that your cards are nice and clean. So when you swipe a card into a seal, or it's just generally wears out, you want to be really sensitive about your tools and replacing them. That's like C2 versus Pro Classic. Like Pro Classic is an awesome workhorse film, and when I was just trying to get a bunch of cars done, I used Pro Classic. So I would just keep that kind of stuff in mind. Try edges, tried everything in the books from sharpening the edges and using brand. Interesting. Well, it's good that you're being careful with them. So if Pro Classic is working better for you, I don't know, something I haven't really noticed, so I'm not sure what it is. Hey, let's say I wanted to get a pattern cut down from a shop and install myself. You could always call and ask the shop and see if they will do it. Yeah, I have no idea what they would charge. Every shop is different. Some shops will not do it. So just call a shop and ask. Is all that water getting in that car? No. What? That's crazy. Yes, we like to break cars when we tint them, which is why we have this sick setup. Are you charging the same price for C2 ceramic that you were for Pro Nano? Yeah, I wouldn't change it. If my film costs, I don't remember if it goes up a little or down a little. It's kind of negligible. I'm mobile. Do you recommend a shop one day? I mean, it's your question to answer, not mine. I can tell you, mobile gets very difficult because you're always running around. But it's got its perks. I think everybody eventually gets a shop because it's just an easier thing to scale. Really hard to scale any type of a mobile operation exclusively. And then you're also subject to you know, customer garages, weather, that kind of stuff. Unless you're contracting for other shops and just like going to other shops' garages and tinting that way. No overhead cost of a shop. So there's always a opportunity cost that you got to consider too. It's like, yeah, you don't have any physical location costs, which is nice. But how many cars can you do max in a day that you could do if you were at one location? You know, mobile versus physical. So those are opportunity costs that you're losing out at. More people can drop cars off. But one of the best ways, I think, to get into a shop when you're interested, just keep an eye out for a location. And then you can treat your physical location like a mobile account. So if you just don't have your book fully booked, set aside 2-3 days a week and then do mobile the rest of the days. So that way you're bringing in money still, but you only schedule stuff at your own shop, let's say 3 days a week. And as long as you can make rent on your shop, that's fine, because you're building up a client base, and eventually that's going to pull you away from doing mobile. So you don't have to just decide one day to not service mobile clients. That's how I got into a shop, though. Like, it's literally how I got into this place. I had 2 mobile accounts. I was doing probably 3 or 4 days a week outside of my shop. I only scheduled appointments here 2 or 3 days a week. And I wasn't here, you know, if it was coming close to that day and I didn't have any appointments here, then I'm then tinting somewhere else. I'm not just here waiting for somebody to show up. You can always put your skill to work. Come on. There we go. Is window replacement better or tinting windows? Like auto glass versus window tint? Coming from watching somebody that had an auto glass company, I think they both have their challenges. I think it's way harder to have certain upsells, but there's no reason that you can't merge the two together. So like my best account also did window tint at an auto glass place. So they always had a hard time trying to, you know, you have a couple different options for a windshield, right? You have the OEM replacement, you have a cheaper aftermarket. Your average customer was just looking for a pretty inexpensive replacement because it's not something that they're excited to pay for. But they would ask about tinting the front doors or the windshield. So I did a ton of tint work at this account. It was great. My last account before I went full-time into this place. So keep that kind of stuff in mind. Like, there's no reason you just have to do one or the other per se. Hire people to do the glass replacements and then have somebody else do the window tint. Do a couple services. I think joining companies like Safelite is scary. I wouldn't do that, but I'm doing auto glass, but I'm looking to start tinting as well. Yep. Yeah, we actually had a Safelite technician here. The same thing. He was looking to start a window tinting business. Are you covering that front little piece? So this is simulating that the window is already up. So as soon as we open the latch, this is going to dip down, and then you just don't see the side edge. And then whenever you close it, it's up in the window or it's down in here. So I used to do that, but I don't really see the point much anymore. What software do you use to cut tint with a plotter? Core. Core is my favorite. Yeah, Core's really nice. I've been slowly warming up to it. If you're gonna use any, that's the software to use right now. Is it like cutting vinyl for shirt and stickers? Yeah, that's what a plotter's gonna do. Same type of machine. Any tips for starting practicing on tinting windows? Watch videos, get some film and tools. Look up stuff like, what do I need to start tinting? We have starter kits on 313tint.com. You can always check those out, but you want to be a little bit more prepared. So, like this, watch videos. I forgot, we gotta shrink this one. I already have a cutter for vinyl. So, the thing about plotters, yes, you will need the software. So Core is gonna be your best value. It's $150 a month. So the nice thing is that plotters can just help save you a step by cutting the film. You still have to learn a lot. Installation, shrinking, installation. You still have to weed out your patterns. But depends on your cutter. I would suggest getting a different blade for it. Do with a really fine, like 30-degree blade. And then it's just fine tuning it is the tough part. And at least a 40-inch machine is what you're looking for. That way you can do back windows. There we go. You get no bubbles. Practice. We're gonna make sure that we have new soap. How much do you get paid for doing tint? Well, this one is full ceramic all the way around with the front windshield. That means this one is a $700 job. I've been doing shirts and vinyl for years, so I'm really familiar with the plotter. Oh, nice. Okay. Well, that's cool. Yeah, so you want to cut through the tint part and not the clear liner part. So most machines can do it. It's just really finicky tuning. So as long as I would just pick up a roll of like Pro Classic and fine tune it, see if it'll work, and then go from there. Start cutting out some like front doors on some trucks and doing that. How many cars are scheduled today? This one. The sprayers? So the keg sprayer, we have a standard setup for 350. So that's the keg, that's like a 30-foot hose. That's the brass sprayer. It's got an inline filter in the brass sprayer, and it comes wrapped. Just one car today, just one. We don't want to stress ourselves out or anything. So we have more stuff on the books for pretty much each day of the week right now. One thing that was happening, so we're really good at socials, and we have an online store, and we also do training classes. So last week we had a big training class. One thing that I'm honestly not as good at is literally running a local business. It's really easy to let systems slip and not do any types of marketing. So just being in business is one thing. But just because you're in business doesn't mean you're gonna get lots of cars just calling and booking. So we're doing some stuff and working on a lot of back-end systems right now to fix that. Because if we don't have at least one car a day, what the hell are we doing? It's hard to keep up with demand, but worried about raising prices. And I would say that's a big part of ours, is like we're not necessarily really good on explaining value on customers that have no idea about our business. So we have people that have no idea we have a YouTube channel, no idea we have a TikTok. I know, pretty crazy. They'll just call, ask price, and we'll give them the price. And then, but following up with a really good sales pitch or all those little things that you really should be following up with, I can tell you we're just not. It's not that I don't care, it's that it's really tough to focus on everything all at the same time. And then things start to slow down and you're like, huh, I need to do some other stuff. So that's what we're in the middle of right now. Like, your shop is slow. What do you do to get your shop busy again. And that's why you need a helper. Yes. We've got 3. We got somebody to answer phones, do store orders and that kind of stuff. But I don't think anybody's strength is really here in sales. And then the other thing is, Mark, he's also working on some stuff. So we have a little overlap right now. We have a little overlap of, while we're building them, little other things have to get put on hold. I honestly think I gotta recut this one. Because this bottom corner here, man, this has always been a trend. Yep. Let me just cut this one out again. Very pissed right now at YouTube. I was streaming like 5 days ago. Literally disabled my live streaming abilities. I have appealed, and the thing is, they said I could again 5 days later. Oh, that's unfortunate, but at least they only gave you a 5-day ban rather than a longer ban. This is 35. I know it looks really light, but we got white seats there. Yes, redo. So this lower corner got pinched. It's how you manage the marketing that'll make you the bread. Yeah. So your business will come from a number of different avenues: ads, referrals, your website, and various social media channels. And as a industry kind of gets filled out, you find yourself, you have to do more and more to compete with everybody else. That's the nice thing about competition. Competition makes everybody be better. Films improve, everything improves. So, our phones just are not ringing a ton right now, and we don't do traditional stuff like we haven't done ads. Haven't really done much with referrals. Like, we haven't done much. We make videos, we do a bunch of other stuff here, and then we expect the phone's gonna ring, and then we're gonna book jobs. And as soon as that stops happening, we look at that and we go, oh shit. I guess we gotta do some stuff. So the good news is that there's a lot of videos on traditional business things, and I have my social media experience, so we're working on some fun stuff right now. Yeah, I wasn't gonna do it, but this can be removed if I really want to. It'll make it a little bit easier, you're right. Why don't you expand to wrapping cars to that space? Well, because growing a service is never as simple as just doing it. you have to treat every service like its own individual business. And while there are crossovers and you can leverage your existing clients, we need somebody with that experience in order to get it started. And then you need to kind of either sub it out in the beginning and find that right person, which can be a challenge. Like, I'll give you a whole bunch of reasons why. it's tough. It's never as easy as like, why don't you just do more services? Just doing more services does not equal more money. It just doesn't. Eventually it does, but it's a road to get there. You need to focus on customer acquisition. Yeah, that's what we're shifting some things to. And being able to explain that better. Because it's all well and fun that we got a YouTube channel here, but it's like at the end of the day, it's when people don't really, your average customer has no idea and doesn't care. They just want to get a job done and they want to get a good job done. You got to do other stuff. What do you keep taking? Oh, snapping? Because every time you make a cut, that blade dulls. So you snap blades because it's constantly dulling. I know more people that get their car wrapped and tinted. Well, I can tell you firsthand, a shop in Dearborn Heights that has tried a wrap program for a long time that has been in window tinting for a very long time. And they've had a real hard time growing their wrap business. So it's not like that for everybody. It's really not that simple. Also, yeah, out of all the services, other than the main three, PPF, vinyl, window tinting, more people are there for window tinting, and then it kind of drops off, but also the other services are just higher tickets. So if we focus on trying to attract those clients for like full vinyl, full PPF, yeah, window tint then becomes an add-on service, and we'd be really smart to do that. It just becomes really difficult to grow. So nobody here that I have right now has that skill set, so I'm not going to advertise it. I have to find somebody with that skill set and build a program around it. But like I said, we're working on some other stuff right now. So we got to pick and choose what we want to focus on, and trying to be a multi-service shop. I mean, it's cool for the content. Don't get me wrong, I hear you. But when you have some other ideas too. It sounds like you're trying to grow too fast. By just doing window tint? Go to dealerships. Guys, it's okay. I appreciate it. When you started a shop, did you get your LLC right away? When I started a shop, yeah. When I was just tinting, no. There we go. Bro thinks he has all the answers to business. No, I'm working on stuff that we're working on. It's. What is that? Well, what's it say on the side? The front. Top. Pro Classic 5. Do we just get a gift?
Is it returned?
It's probably a return.
Yeah, it looks like it. From
Bronx?
Kansas.
I remember seeing a Bronx in the email.
Back to us. Wait, why does it go back to us?
Because we're the
Yeah,
company.
shouldn't it go back to
Yeah, so the main point, everybody's like, or a lot of people are taking this in a direction that, like, I get it. I said we're slower on tint work, and we're starting to have to do a lot of traditional marketing things, and we're working on those right now. And then I got people saying, like, you should become a wrap shop. I don't want to be. And it's not as simple as just, we're gonna do that thing now. That's my point. So I would love to actually work on that right now, but I got a car here that we're tinting. Wrap is a whole other thing. I know. Some people just think it's like you just flip a switch and you just do the service and you just make the money. I used to do PPF. I have a few clients right now sitting in my inbox that want to get PPF done here. I need to find somebody else to be able to do that work. And just finding a PPF guy in the area that you could trust to not take a blade and scratch the hell out of the bumper is harder than just, oh, I've got the job. Oh my God, this section. This section is brutal on this one. But it makes sense having two people tinting together. Yes. This, you see that? Oh, there we go. Yes, it definitely makes sense to have more than one person tint at one time. We're doing a live stream though, so I don't need to worry about getting more than one car done. It's gonna be one of the last streams that I ever talk about generic business problems. Oh my God. It's funny.
How do I check in a keg? Somebody ordered one August 6th. I guess it's only the 12th. But
What now?
how do I check on the location of a keg? Like shipping? Tracking?
That's gonna be in my email, but honestly, just call them and have them look it up. Do you guys just ever have regular business problems that you try and sort through by talking about it? Oh, I took a gamble and I fucking lost it again. I should have just rounded it more. That right there. Bummer. All right. Let's do it again. One more time. With a 36. Oh no. Fun, fun. I don't like Frameless near as much, but so we can do a couple of things. We can do this, which is probably what most people would recommend. That. For those of you that wanted me to do that, there you go. So what that does is it'll free up a little bit more space. So you can flex this a little bit more. Still don't get a lot of room down there, but you can take out that outside seal if you really want to. You can take out the inside seal too. But let's get it done. Shift it forward. I'm going to round that corner quite a bit on this next one too. Part of my problem is I'm just going too far, and I don't need to go that far into that seal. You just don't. Shift this over. Do you run the business on the weekends? Yeah, I just did a C6 Corvette on Saturday. Might end up just staying closed on Saturday though. Saturday's kind of optional for me. Oh. Well, that's why TikTok got quiet. All right, let's reconnect. When cutting the tap edge, you angle the blade a little bit. Biggest thing is try and keep that blade consistent. So whatever angle you hold it at, don't change that. But yeah, I try and have a slight tilty angle to it. And since this is being tucked into that bottom corner, if you round this more, it'll help. It'll definitely help. It'll all get tucked down. And you don't necessarily need to worry about just getting the perfect small little round for it. Just blend the whole thing in. But that's okay, we'll get it. I think it's one thing I'll tell myself. I think it's statistically impossible to screw up forever. So eventually we'll get it. It's just a matter of tries. And you have to shrink the windows all the time. If you don't pull the bottom seals, you should.
The answer, after delivery.
What are some ways to improve finishing cars faster? Double cutting is easily one of the biggest. So cutting 2 patterns out at the same time. That'll save you a lot of time. Individually cutting takes too long. So the only reason that I'm doing that on this is Frameless is all about that like top edge. And so I've had a habit of individually cutting the top edges all separately instead of just all on one side. Frame doors seem to line up. Frameless, sometimes there'll be little differences between not only the glass but the way that they do the front edge. What's your most common car? Trucks. Probably Rams, F-150s. We get a lot of that. A little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. How do you overcome a window that shifts while rolling down? For a shifty window, I'll just make it shift one way. So after you roll it back down a little bit, like a couple inches, it'll shift one way. I'll just push back on the back edge and leave it the other way.
This guy didn't know about setting this out.
Okay.
It's like a 12-inch roll. 5% 12-inch roll.
All right. Yeah, I guess we can use that.
Go classic. Perfect for some six.
Yep. Probably ordered it and didn't realize that it's 12 inches.
Yeah.
I had that a couple times from people. I thought I could cover it. Who would need this? Sun strips? I'm trying to do doors. They get a ruler. What is the best ceramic tint for someone to starting out on? There's so many different options. I don't recommend anybody start out on ceramic. Like ceramic isn't a starting option at all. Ceramic is a performance benefit. So what you want to do is be able to leverage it as an upsell and be able to illustrate why it's good. But that being said, we're using C2 ceramic, and C2 ceramic's pretty good. So yeah, that's fine.
24 inch overhang space.
Then we can work on the system. We'll get this done and then be able to, yeah. How much is the average tinting job? More than minimum wage. But I've seen people that get hired in at minimum wage at certain places. So it's a pretty independently, like each shop is pretty independently run. So you're kind of like subject to that and shopping around a little bit. It's harder than it is easier. Where's that? Like, how much do you charge per car? What are you using to spray the window? Soapy water mix. That's crazy. Fuck, geez, C2 ceramic is grippier than I thought it would be. I've had some like Pro Nanos in my life, and that's been kind of fun. I feel like this takes the cake. It's holy shit. If anything, I thought C2 ceramic would be a little bit easier. Not enough slip. I'm at like 3 ounces. It's the way that it's the pressure from the seal. So most of it is sliding pretty good, and then it's hitting these points in the seal, and then it's locking up. So I honestly don't think a lot more would help. I think it would cause other issues. Yeah, like that. Hang on. So that's part of my issue with that front corner is I'd say Pro Nano being a 2 mil is a little bit more rigid. This stuff is just a little less rigid, and it has a tendency to grab the glass once it gets pressure, which is like the worst thing that can happen for these lower corners here. You want them to have a little bit of like flatness to them, because if it just rolls over on itself, that's where you get that crease. And I had that happen twice. So that's really the issue that I was running into. Kind of surprised how much those spots grabbed. I think we got it this time though. Oh, much better. You smell what the rock is cooking. What's the rock cooking? Brother. How long have you been tinting? At least a couple days. Doesn't seem like it though. Not after this window. Do you ever mess up? Nah. Nah, I don't. Yes, definitely. Definitely.
I never even tinting. This is about one
Yeah. Yeah, actually. The Rock is cooking French toast. Oh, I don't like that sound. Come on, I just peeled you back. Any tips for trying to save a buck tinting yourself? Don't expect too much. Just do the best you can. Try and have fun. It's like, what if I were to paint my car myself? There's probably going to be some issues with it, but at the end of the day, we'll probably get it done. Window tints, a little bit like that. Cool. What do you know about tinting? Not as much as what I think I do. I know it can have you feeling one way, and then it'll turn you on your head and have you feeling a different way. Before you know it. All right, we'll reintroduce TikTok. What's the best brand of tint film? 3M? That's what 3M would like you to think. Okay, so we got 50 for the windshield. What did I just put back? That's not for that. That's for this one. This box right here.
standing out of the box.
Ugh. No, I was gonna get the short roll for the back door.
Oh.
And then I put the C2 in the wrong box. And I'm like, this is not right. But that's one that would easily get lost. And then a month later, it would be like, where'd that roll go? I always get bubbles. Any recommendations? Window tint is really frustrating. It's based on skill and attempts, multiple attempts. So it's always hard to give an exact reason why you're getting contamination, but it's almost always your installation. So the more that you fight with the film to get it installed somewhere, so like tucked into a particular space, the likelihood for dirt and issues goes up like exponentially. So you'll often hear, not on this front door, but when things are going really smoothly, you'll see comments that are like, wow, you make that look easy. That's what you're hoping for. Because if you can make it look easy, then generally you're getting a pretty good result. But if you're sitting there for a while and struggling with the door window, we also didn't leave these on for very long. Like, so it was a pretty quick, hey, we're trying to install this. Hey, this isn't going so well. Oh, this front corner, rip it off and try again. I'm not gonna sit there for 20 minutes trying to fix a window. It's either on there and it's good, or it's not. Use an IPA to clean windows first. No, there wouldn't be a problem with doing that though, but you don't need to. I don't think it would really do much other than like, you know, we clean windows with our soapy water mix generally. Glass is really straightforward on cleaning. So if you scrape the surface, that window's clean. Do you ever find dust particles stick to your tint? Mm-hmm. Of course. But we don't really have a lot of opportunities for random dirt or dust particles because we just don't have a lot of stuff that's kicking up dirt.
Dust-free shop.
Pretty dust-free shop. Garage stays closed most of the day. We don't have ceiling fans running, and this type of flooring, you know, as people walk around, this isn't kicking up dust either. But you can tint in some pretty nasty-looking locations and still turn out really good work. But one of the biggest keys to that is just keep your airflow to a minimum. So like I said, no overhead fans, especially over where you're working. You can have the air running and stuff like that, that's fine. But try not to have any fans pointing directly where you're working. It's mainly about prep. Honestly, if I had to put any sort of weight at one part versus the other, you can prep very little and get a really good result. So window tint is more about installation. And prep is still important, don't get me wrong. Prep still matters. But yeah, no HEPA filters? No. I'll show you your exposure time. Your exposure time is very little. So when I worked for like an auto glass company, PPF was a lot more about prep than window tint was. You'll spend a lot more time, but PPF our instructor could pull up the film like 100 times in a row, flush it out, still do a really great job because he was really thorough about cleaning off all the edges and everything. Window tint, even if you clean off all the edges and everything, when you pull up your film, sometimes you'll just have dirt that rushes back in because it's like impossible to clean out framed windows. It's like dirt will come for everywhere for window tint. So if you're really smooth about your installation, you'll have a really good result. No matter if you two-stage or bottom load. But yeah, I'll show you the exposure time is what really matters. Or it's really minimal. So we've cut, we've shrunk. We're gonna clean off the inside of the window. And then once we do that, then we peel the pattern and it gets installed. So like your total exposure time to environment is like seconds. PPF is forgiving with the right cleaning. I was really surprised how forgiving it was with the right cleaning. There was stuff that I wouldn't do as a window tinter that I was seeing with PPF. And he's just like, yeah, it's fine. Look, try and find me some dirt. Sure enough, this shit was so clean. Prep really matters. And we didn't even like wash this car before we actually PPF'd it either. Like we cleaned down the individual panels, but they did recommend like, okay, yeah, you should do like a decon and a bath before you take it in for PPF. But we had this car in here for training. My buddy takes really good care of it. And like he washed it and then he drove it. So it didn't get a bath while it was here before it got PPF. I thought I was just gonna be littered when he pulled up the PPF to like readjust it, and it just didn't. But yeah, window tint, you do that. And it's just a nightmare. Are you tinting or is that factory? So there's factory privacy glass on this window right now. And then we're tinting over that. We're doing a 50% ceramic film over the privacy glass. This car has a 2% sunroof already and ceramic in there. I know because I have a Model 3. Anything without a shade, like so physical shade that goes over the glass is generally going to make the roof default be ceramic. So it's got a ceramic film in there. And then, you know, the back window might have it too. I'm not sure, but we're still tinting over that because that's part of the package that we're doing. But these windows, these are just tempered. So you can tell they're tempered because of how they are. No, this is not a glass sandwich. This is just a rolled edge here. So this is one pane of glass, where the front doors actually is tempered, and this is a glass sandwich. This, it's possible that the front doors have a ceramic layer, but they generally don't. But the roof is tempered as well. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm confusing things. Laminated. This is laminated, it's a glass sandwich. This is laminated, this is laminated. That's what I'm trying to say. So with all the side windows and the windshield, Tesla had an option to have the windshield have that same type of ceramic property to it that was like baked into the glass. I don't know if they still offer that. But I know anything without a physical shade is basically going to be ceramic already, and it's super dark. Because if you didn't have it, you would bake your customers. So they have to do a ceramic roof. So it really takes out the purpose of doing any type of interior ceramic tinting, unless you just want to make it a little bit darker. Why is the steering wheel on the right side? Oh, because we didn't flip it. Is it TikTok, I think? Is TikTok backwards now? I forgot it starts like that every time. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to keep a window clean during installation. So we razored it off. We're taking a squeegee. We're going to squeegee it top to bottom. We wipe the edges with a towel. And so I could be in a number of different places and get a clean result. It doesn't have to be a pretty shop like this, but we're gonna peel this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and we're basically clung to the glass, almost entirely what we need to be. So probably a few more seconds than I counted, but you get the idea there. From that time when we peeled the liner, like squeegeed off the window to peeling the liner, that's our exposure time with the tint. So can dust land on it during that time? Yes, absolutely. But how likely are you, and what kind of dust are you likely to get? So it's generally just going to be a couple little floaties in the air, and you would definitely notice if they're in there. So the rest of it is then down to the cleanliness of your cleaning and like your installation. So if it's really quick and smooth, your window's going to turn out a hell of a lot better. So just keep track of your exposure time. That makes the biggest difference. And then next thing to work on is just be real smooth about your installation. This one went way easier than that other one. Nice, nice. We don't completely suck. When you see a floaty of dirt, you feel like leaving it. I mean, yeah, I definitely don't want to restart it, but I'll definitely restart it because you're not getting that little floaty out. But that's what I mean, like, just be conscious of, you know, if you had ceiling fans blowing right down where you're tinting, if you have a garage door open and you can feel a breeze coming over to you, all that stuff, that adds up. So we used to tint hot days, tight spaces, and we would still, employees would bitch at us, and we would say, please leave the garage door closed while we're tinting here. See, look at that. Look how nice that looks now. See how far down that window goes? Isn't that nuts? Make sure this one's gonna be nice and flush. We do this. Look how far down that edge goes. This whole window shifts up like a good almost like 1.5 inches, 2 inches. That's crazy. All right. So now we got the windshield to do. We're gonna get some, now we're gonna get some 50% on that. It's my first time tinting my car. Should I buy the film on Amazon or just go with Fellers? What does Fellers have? Avery Dennison? If it's Avery, just get the Avery NR. Don't get the more expensive stuff. Avery has not sorted out their ceramic, as far as I know. But I'm pretty sure Fellers sells Avery, like 44 Tools does. I mean, I would go to 313tint.com and get GeoShield, but that doesn't mean. Especially against Avery. I used to install Avery. Avery's like every distributor's friend. But yeah, Amazon, you never know what you're gonna get. Whew. Look at how close that is. That made me worry for half a second.
Just like the Model 3,
Yeah.
1/4 inch.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep. And I'm like, this better be cut 36. Best darker ceramic, can see decent at night. It's more about the shade, honestly. So on a windshield, don't go darker than 50%. And then for the sides, don't go darker than 20. And it'll be fine. Where's my, I want my safety cutter. Where is that? We put it somewhere. I gave the guy with my van the screwdriver.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was like, oh, that sucks. I think that's the first expensive tool that I've ever given away. I've accidentally given away somebody's special edition Snap-on pink screwdriver that was part of a special edition set that you can't replace. Boy, he let me know every day. Because it wasn't about money. It was about, I can't get this ever again. Thanks, dude. Luckily, I can get a replacement with my own screwdriver. Any thoughts on Tint Depot's ceramic IR plus tint? Supposed to be 95 IR heat rejection. I just have a general thought about 95 IR rejection, but that gets into, too much like tint nerdum. But we'll go there anyways. Okay, so window film is a like IR. Oh, how do we start this? Light, visible light is a spectrum, and let's say it's 1 to 100. It's really like 200 to like 10,000 or something like that. You have X-rays, gamma rays, visible light, IR, radio frequencies, like everything. Like your Wi-Fi is like a light signal. Like all radio stuff is like frequencies. So IR is a snippet, and it accounts for about 50% of the heat that comes through. And then the visible light range counts for about the other 50%. And then you have UVA, B, and C. So just boasting 95, 98, 99% IR, I never suggest looking at that number. You want to look at the TSER, which is like the total solar energy rejected. And it's not near as impressive as a number in anybody's film. But ultimately, get the film, put it on a car. It should be pretty awesome. And just try it for yourself, though. Everybody's got a race to 100 on IR, and it doesn't really matter as much as it does getting the whole spectrum. So what you're seeing is mostly marketing. Like ceramic is clear on the inside but dark on the outside. It's some goofy marketing. I want to get into window tinting so badly. Do you recommend training classes or just get some film, get some tools, and get started? And then you can always take a training class later. You never necessarily have to take a training class. Training classes help with speeding you up. Looking to tint my Sorrento in 70, including the windshield, and panoramic sunroof. 35 on the sides, just want to keep my car cool. Very nice. Yeah, if you're in our area, reach out. We'll set up an appointment. So, ceramic, all the way around. Pano sunroof, generally it's like $100 per pane. So most panoramic sunroofs are usually like 2 panes. We can definitely do it. Is there any tips to get better at shrinking? Yeah, there's a lot. So what most people mess up is they don't look at the center point of the film and try and like evenly push out stuff at an angle or straight up. It's kind of a combo of the two. So you want to heat the film till you get these little waves. So eventually they'll be there. We're heating up the film, we're heating it. Film is shrinking together, it's getting closer to the glass. And then what happens is it turns into these little side waves. You want to match your card up with the way that wave is and push it in that direction. So as it curves, you're going to push it out this angle. And you're just stretching out the film. A lot of people take these fingers and they'll just like push them back up here because they're trying to get the air out. You're trying to stretch the film out over the glass. So it doesn't quite stretch like vinyl, but after the film is shrunk, that's when you're kind of stretching it out like vinyl. You would pull it from like the corner and work out the air in that way. Big old windshield. What's the weight tape? The weight tape is called Glass Aid. So when we cut out this pattern, we're not gonna scratch the window because we're not taking any blades to the glass. What's a pretty affordable heat gun to start with? This one right here. And this is the only heat gun that you'll ever need. This is the cheapest Wagner, I think it's called like the Furno 300. Simple. On, off. Ignore the middle function. Just go all the way up. The more expensive heat guns, they basically just have added features. You don't need those features. They don't really get hotter, not unless you go get a heat gun that pulls a lot more wattage out of the wall. Have you ever shrunk clear plex windshield film? Yes, I have it. I don't like it. I had the ceramic version on my windshield. They had an instructor come out here. We did a video. It was a great video. It was a lot of fun. It's a product that definitely works, but it's really expensive, and it was blurry to the point where I just pulled it off my windshield. So I was not a fan. But I'm like 90% sure it saved my windshield from pretty nasty rock chip. Why is it impossible to shrink? It requires a completely different way of shrinking. You do not shrink it like regular window tint. The instructor had us wet shrink it, and you start from the outside and work your way in. So you divide everything into really big fingers, and then you heat up over the body line those fingers, and then you work back into it. Look up how to shrink 3M crystalline film, and it's that type of technique. I tried wet shrinking from the outside to center. It was impossible. It's not super fun. Not impossible. I did it firsthand. I saw him do it firsthand. But I just think it's not like a super practical product. 15 hours of attempt and can't figure out how the film goes? Damn. Yeah, that's a lot. That stuff is expensive too. That's like $1,000 a roll. $2,000 for the ceramic. So on a window like this, it would be even harder. I was looking through that whole thing. There's like a number of reasons why I don't think it's the most practical of products for most shops to offer. But it's there. Shops are doing it. But you're realistically not selling it for under like $500 a windshield. It's only practical for Wranglers. Even Wranglers, it'll protect them some, but Wranglers, their problem are they're vertical. So a rock chip is going to be way more likely to damage a Wrangler because of the angle versus, let's say, this windshield right here. We shot BBs at quite a few different types of windows. Anytime that windshield was like up more vertical, even with the film, it like still chipped immediately. And then we had a charger that we were purposefully trying to chip and break. That charger, that held up pretty well. It did chip, but it took a lot more BBs to do it. Is a Chrysler 200 a hard card to tint? It's pretty average. Panels will get in your way a little bit. Same for that third brake light. How would interior? Oh, no, the film we were talking about was an exterior film. How long did it take you to get consistent? Everybody's different. And it's hard for me to remember the day-to-day. But roughly a year before I was getting cars tinted, but to varying degrees. I feel like I was slow at learning and understanding. I just stuck with it. But it was also like my job, so I didn't really have any other choice. I needed something that was a little flexible. I was going to school. So I was going to aviation mechanics school at the time. My intent was to not be a window tinter. And then I finished school, and then we had the YouTube channel. I just kept doing that. Why are you cutting with the blade so far out? So whenever I'm making my closer cuts to the glass, I extend my blade farther out just so I can have a nice low angle to the glass. What tint should I buy if I'm just starting? Depends on what you're tinting a little bit. At the very least, a 36-inch roll. That'll cover your back windows. If you're just doing some truck doors, a 24-inch roll will be fine. What camera do you use for POV? We're just using an iPhone right now. Yes, I'm wearing an iPhone as a necklace right now. Shot with iPhone, literally. What type of knife? Tajima. I've never heard of them. This is an NT cutter. This is a red dot, and then it's got their stainless steel blades in them. These are all snap blades. So you can take your little snapper at the bottom, do that, and then you get a nice sharp point, and you can continue cutting. Use stainless when you're cutting on glass. It's not 100% safe, but it's as safe as you can possibly get. Tajima are the best Japanese blade. Do they have stainless? Never heard of them. So we have two major, both of them are Japanese. NT cutter is one, and Olfa is the other. Those are like widely known. I've never heard of Tajima, but I'm very interested. I'm always looking for better products. I don't know why they have blades down. Maybe it's from samurai swords. No, I'm kidding. But their blade quality is so good. Does it help to tint in a controlled environment? Yes, absolutely. I've tinted in a lot of not controlled environments though. So just go on my YouTube channel, look back like 4 years. You'll see where I used to do live streams. It was out of a glass shop. It wasn't out of here. I mean, I love this place, but I think it can also give new people kind of like a wrong impression, like, oh, I need that. No, this is like what I dreamed about working up into, was having just a super nice space that has everything all laid out the way that I want it to be. So that's why I love the way that it is. But you can tint in a lot of rough places and still get really good results. But the less that you have control over, the harder it is to tint. You know, if you're outside, you have the sun and the wind, it's near impossible. Have you installed Clearplex? Do you recommend it? I've tried it and I don't recommend it. It was blurry, that's why I didn't like it. But man, we did their best marketing video for free. They got so many leads off of that. That was fun. It was fun to do. I should have got a fat paycheck for it. Instead, I had a good time. How do you upkeep the shop? If you said you have trouble getting a car a day. Well, it's not all the time that we only get a car a day. And then the cars that we get more for. But we have other businesses here. So we have... Is this running? Oh, yeah. Hang on. Love how the towel just slowly goes up. It's very easy to trigger the vents on this. So we're going to be real careful about that. Might tuck in a rope too. I got some extra space. I think I'll do that. Yeah, so part of what made this all possible was the tint store that we have. I've been doing videos for a really long time, been doing live streams for a really, really long time. And that was the direction that I always wanted to focus on, even if it didn't make sense. Because honestly, you can just focus on being a tint business and tint a bunch of cars and do really well, but that has to be your focus. And my focus was always media, live streaming. So we had to figure out a different way to support it. And I kind of really stumbled in to being a tool distributor. But that's what we've grown into. So we're like, number one, a tool distributor / education facility. And then number two, we are a tint shop. Oh, steering wheel. Do you recommend carbon film? Yeah, of course, we sell it. Carbon's great. You just need to be able to highlight its benefits. So when I was doing mobile tinting, I was primarily tinting with one film because the shops sure as hell weren't trying to work on upsells. They were just trying to sell tint jobs. So they were just trying to book as many as they could at one price. And then when I started my shop, one of the focuses was having a good, better, best model. Geo is so sticky. I agree. Unnecessarily. It's too sticky for what it needs to be. That's my number one gripe with the film. I don't think it needs to be that sticky, but it is. It drives me crazy. But I can't tell you, every film that I've tried has some sort of annoying trade-off. Geo has that as a trade-off. So if you can adapt to the tackiness of it, which is unfortunately the installer's perspective, which sucks. But when you can adapt to that, it's a rock solid film, and there's a lot of other things to love about it. Price points, customer service, look, longevity. So I have yet to ever find one film brand where I didn't have at least 2 to 3 glaring issues. The tackiness is like the only one that I have a gripe about, so. Me and my dad are starting our own tinting business. Congrats, that's awesome. Let me know if you have any specific questions, because there's never any generic stuff that I can tell you. It's too broad of a question. What tint do you use? GeoShield. So we're using their Pro Nano 50% right now. So we have C2 ceramic on the front doors, and then we have Pro Nano ceramic on the front windshield. They're basically interchangeable films. We're just slowly transitioning over to C2 ceramic. I don't know if we'll do it in every shade, but it might be the only film line that I do that with. I use all of Apex, I use all of Pro Classic, I use all of C2. Pro Nano had a pretty nasty hue in the 35%. And so that was like the number one thing that I'm really glad to see C2 has addressed. But across the board, I just want to see heat performance. So we're slowly switching over some of the lines there, and we'll probably end up using all C2 ceramic because I'll get too many questions about why not. I used Pro Nano for a very long time, still love the film, still use the film. It was just that 35% that would drive me crazy, especially. And then C2 improved. C2 ceramic specifically improved. So both of them are great. Isn't 5% illegal? That depends on your state. Any shade can be illegal. How do you prevent two-stage creases? It's a little easier to explain when we're two-staging the doors. Don't fold it as hard, and when you have those little folds, you're just gonna heat them out. So they're not necessarily a big deal. Do you ever get bored from not being challenged? I'm not able to verify. Why? Come on. I'm doing the puzzle, TikTok. It's right there. Yes, it worked. Oh, dude. I got enough stuff. I'm definitely not bored. I don't. So I don't just. You know what's a nice day? Is when I can focus on just tinting. And there isn't a bunch of other things to be done in a day. There's always a bunch of stuff to be done in a day. Some days more than others though, and some things I put off till other days. But what really gets me excited is stumbling into a new product or service that like drastically improves my life. And so we're working on something right now. Working on our own solutions. It's just that you make it look so easy. I know. Sometimes. I mean, you should have seen that driver's door. I don't think I made that driver's door look easy. If I run a stream and everything looked like it went straightforward and easy, it's mean that so many things on the back end has had to happen to get it to that point that when that happens, I'm like, oh my God, cool, it all worked. How many cars do you do in a day? You're not gonna like that answer. It depends on the day, really. So right now our goal is spacing out appointments. We have one a day coming in, so we can focus on doing content because we've done a really bad job. There was a vehicle that went on all day Friday. There was a vehicle that went on all day Saturday. And we only had a windshield out of the thing that came in on Friday. And we had no content with the C6 Corvette that came in on Saturday. Because I was more focused on trying to make sure that we did a good job and we got those vehicles out, rather than trying to turn it into a show. So the cars that I'm a lot more confident in will generally go live with. So there's a lot of personal stuff that went on, and now things are getting a little bit more back to a normal schedule. So we're trying to ensure that we have at least, because good God, last Friday we had 2 really good appointments. Both came in on a Friday. And then we didn't have water in the morning because maintenance was working on our water. So it's like, I've got an excuse for almost every day of the week right now. Just shit's been going on and I've been busy with this or that or the other thing. It's like, let's get the schedule so we at least have 1 full car a day. Then we can make sure we get content out of it and do a good job. And then from there, we'll pad the schedule. But we have these types of things that need to get done first. And not everybody has skill sets in getting those things done, so. What's your biggest, most effed up experience? Generally, it's a big bill from like breaking something. That was, we had an 88 Chrysler Conquest in here. The back window got busted out. And then good luck trying to find one. Phew, not a fun experience. That was pretty effed up. Would you recommend the switch to global from Expel, or would you recommend me stick to it? Well, why are you trying to switch from Expel? Have they just gotten too expensive for what they are? Because Global's not really going to be any different, but they're probably going to save you money. Most people are asking the opposite. How do I get into Expel? So it's curious to hear. There we go. Just have that little bit. To save me a bit of money. Yep. They be expensive. I mean, you don't have to like sign up to be a distributor through Global to get some Global. Just get some film and try it. I think there's certain advantages that come with being Expel dealer, but as soon as those advantages don't make sense, because at the end of the day, only so many people are looking for Expel, only so many people are looking for Global, you know what I mean? So you could carry whatever film brand that you want. What advantages? It's one of the few brands that your average customer might ask about. I never really thought that counted for a ton, but I'd say that's the biggest one. If you can leverage a film's brand to just get more money for a job, because a lot of, I don't know if there's like price fix, I don't want to say price fixing, but there's usually some sort of like uniformity with like a brand's pricing. So you're not necessarily going to have a bunch of Expel dealers trying to necessarily lowball every other one. But they come with territories. And when you have a good amount of people in your territory and you have higher prices, you just, you know, it's good for business. But as soon as you're not really getting very many clients for those price points, and then your price point, then it's not a good thing. Makes sense, but I've been doing Expel for a while. Nobody has directly asked me about Expel. Yep, that's when it swings in the other direction for sure. There's a number of brands that you could switch to. Geo's great. Global's good. I haven't used Global by myself firsthand, but Global is the main film brand for one of the largest film manufacturers in the world. But they specialize in dyed ceramic and dyed films. So I can't say for sure, but what I've heard is that is the main manufacturer for Expel as well. So you're not really going to notice much of a difference. Nobody's going to have the exact same film, but there's going to be a lot of similarities. It's like baking a cake and then adjusting how many chocolate chips are. Do you put chocolate chips in cakes? Maybe cookies. Adjusting the amount of chocolate chips you might put versus the amount of flour versus the amount of salt. That's where you get your different SKUs. But yeah, I've thought for a while, if you only have, how many major cities do you have in this country? So eventually you're gonna fill up every major city, every major territory with a dealer. And then the only way to sell more film, because they're a publicly traded company, is to incentivize more jobs, or the only way for that company to make more money is move more film. And so they either take more like deals. So they've taken over a big dealership company. They've partnered with, for better or worse, Tint World. And so there's just a lot of reasons why. There's a lot of reasons why their prices are then getting more expensive for dealers, and then dealers don't necessarily get the same value. Right? But there's definitely some shops that leverage that branding and are just in the right area and it works. And there's some shops that just aren't going to see those benefits. Why do you use the pink one over the other one? So that, yeah, the pink is a softer one. Sometimes they'll just pick up one without necessarily thinking about it, so that can happen. But usually for my first pass, yeah, we're gonna try and iron out some of the bubbles and get it to tack without shifting it around much. That's the pink squeegee. And then we use the hybrid for a harder pass. I exclusively use the hybrid for a long time. So you can still use the hybrid for everything. You don't need two separate squeegees. But I found it helpful. I've started only using the orange one. The orange Crush, that's a really popular window tinting squeegee. A lot of people like that one. I've never been 100% sold on just using that one though, but it is a very popular one. Squeegees are a personal preference. I went to your tint class and always use the hybrid. Nice. Do you use baby shampoo or Dawn? No, not anymore. I used to. Everything's tint slip now. Tint slip helped fix the problem. Because I was using both baby shampoo and Dawn mixed together. The problem with Dawn is that it's a degreaser, and baby shampoo isn't necessarily strong enough for certain films. So for example, like years ago when I was using Lumar, or when I used ASWF, baby shampoo was totally fine. And then even Avery Dennison for a little while. Baby shampoo, no problems. But then there's just like GeoShield, Global, Avery NR. There's like all these films that were coming out, or that existed, and then I started using, and they're just like, why are these glues so tacky? Even NR Pro compared to NR. NR Pro had a easier glue. I don't think the glues need to be like super tacky either, but Tint Slips helps deal with that problem. Scrub tool. This is the Tri-Edge Scrub It. They're basically really nice kitchen scrub pads. They Velcro right onto this pad. This pad is why I like this so much. Scrub pads are great. They're as good as any other blue level scrub pad. But having that backing plate is really nice because you can just apply really even pressure. I thought it was silly. There's some tools that I feel like are just like total, like really, you've got a specific scrub pad that you use, and then you start using it and you're like, oh wow, this is actually really good. Shanks was like that for me. Those scrub pads were like that for me. This little baby squeegee, that was like that for me. There's all these tools that I have that I'm like, almost feel like were gimmicks until I started using them. And you're like, oh wow, that's actually really good. Does mixing both baby shampoo and Dawn help with GeoShield? Yes. You'll never hear me recommend it. But for 2 years, that's what I used. And I would talk about it. And then they had a chemist do some chemistry studies on soaps for window films. And so that's when it's like Dawn has degreasers. Degreasers are not safe for window films. I didn't have any film failures from it, knock on wood. But that's why they can't recommend it, and that's why I can't recommend it. Is because it's like, if you're using, if like under their warranty system, their recommendations, it's like the products can change, and no, they're not going to be able to just recommend something off the shelf like that. I use this tint slip. I can recommend that. But it's not that like wink, wink, nudge, nudge, it doesn't work. It's just like there hasn't been any long-term significant testing. It's a bunch of tinters will tell you it may or may not be okay. So just, you can take people's word for it, and generally majority rules. So it's not something I'd really worry about, but I just can't recommend it. What about soap? What soap? But yeah, like for real, those formulas can change too, and they end up inevitably changing. So it's like sometimes they can also work for a certain amount of time, and then they tweak their formula, and then they just don't work as well. That's not tint slip. It definitely was tint slip. If it wasn't tint slip, what was it? It said tint slip right on the bottom. What? Tint slip. I'm pretty sure. It looks like a bottle of piss. So maybe it's that. What are your thoughts? This windshield, I am so happy with this right now. This turned out so nice. What are your thoughts on global window tint? Did I just get asked that? Are we on repeat? Do we have to get into window film testing? I don't feel like we're ever going to get into window film testing. How dark did you go on the windshield? We did 50 on the windshield, 35 on the front doors, and then 50 over the rear. So we're getting into cleanup phase now, which is pretty good. I feel pretty good now. I'll make sure these back doors are all settled, all the edges are nice. Ever done a Model X windshield? No. I quoted one not long ago, though. We were like right around $1,000 for that. And he said he was gonna book, and then he didn't. It was one of the most difficult cars I've ever done. Yeah, they're kind of ridiculous. What squeegee do you prefer once you're done scrubbing the glass? Oh, so that green squeegee, Libman, dude, find me a better one. Nobody's been able to find one yet. Find one better than this. This is awesome. It curves to the glass. It's lightweight. It's plastic. They do eventually wear out, but they cover like 8 inches at a time. So you can just scrub it down and squeegee it off really, really quickly. I kept looking for, like, I'd buy everybody's just wide squeegee, like shower style squeegees. That one's awesome. Tint slip ounce per gallon. With Geo, stick to about 1 ounce. You could always go stronger, but generally that's where I'm at. Do you sell them on your site? Yes, we do. But you can find them so many places. So we just do it out of convenience. So if you don't know where to get one, you can pick it up on the site, but you can find them in Walmart's, grocery stores. You can find them around. Awesome, awesome squeegee. That's kind of the problem with some of these products. Because, like, I don't just look for tint specific versions of any of these products. I look for what works the best. And so sometimes we have to go outside of what exists for tinters because it's so niche-y of a thing to just get a good solution. And then, like, Libman is a giant cleaning company. So, unless I'm ordering, like, mops and all this other stuff, even as a small distributor, they just look at you like, why do you want just shower squeegees, weirdo? So it's been interesting trying to source some of those things. Is night in your area? It's not. It's daytime, I think. Unless this car is just taking me forever. It says right here, it's 13. Oh, that doesn't help. He's got military time on here. It's the first one I've seen with military time. Unless it's a tap thing and then it changes. He did a good job applying the screen protector. He's got like a nice anti-glare on it. Good. Good. Wow, that windshield turned out nice. What's an average price for clear ceramic on a front windshield? I don't know average, but I know what we charge. And we charge $250 for like a Pro Nano windshield. And then we charge more for Apex. Why are my trash cans so far away? What film do you recommend? Oh, we're going for full circle now. I use GeoShield films. Do you use the red squeegee for prepping on the inside of the glass when cleaning? So I've got a pink one. This one? The pink clean. That's what I'll use for prepping. You can still use the hybrid for both. You don't necessarily have to use... Do you ever mess with PPF? Mm-hmm. Yep. Wish I was better at it. And I don't have the time personally to just do it myself. We had our optical, shout out to them, Car Supplies Warehouse. Optical came out here. We did some videos. They did some personalized training. And I felt a lot more confident with hoods and fenders. And I still would need a lot of just general practice, but especially hoods, or sorry, full bumpers is still what completely kicks my ass. Do you ever do non-ceramic? Or carbon windshields. Yeah, for sure. We do whatever the client wants. So we all like to do ceramic jobs as much as possible. But if you just want a nice film on your car, that's what Pro Classic is for. If you want a little bit of heat rejection, honestly, what I'll call our best value option, that's what's carbon's for. Carbon is generally your best value option, or at least for us. Is it normal for tint solution to make your eyes burn? So that I would say you probably are using a bit too much. I have used that much before. You know, when it just doesn't seem like the film slides, you add more, and then you add more, and then you add more. And then when your eyes start burning, that's probably when you're over like, okay, I'm like almost more soap than I am water at this point. So that was my experience with GeoShield and baby shampoo. It's like I cannot practically add more that makes any amount of sense. Where this all of a sudden is just like, okay, now we added more to compensate for the tackiness of it. Wow, that is rounded. Hang on, let me go get something. I want to start my own tinting side hustle. Where can I get tint from? Well, we have film and tools for sale, 313tint.com. Are you looking pretty booked out? It's not an amazing schedule, but we do have more appointments that are booked up. I hadn't talked about it earlier, but we are I'm always way more focused on social stuff. So then your general marketing, I've never had just a general marketing plan. So I've let some of that stuff just completely go. And just go on, good reviews, YouTube videos, channel stuff. And so now what we're seeing is, like, it's always been up and down. But right now we're to the point where it's like, all right, we need to keep the schedule busy. And if we don't do that, we have a problem. So we're doing some stuff that will make it busier. But all those things take a little bit of time. Do you ever use a file? I use a file sometimes. I got a needle file. When it's a window like this, with a nice sharp edge to it, you can usually just use a razor blade. Get a similar effect. So we should be good. We gotta put this trim piece back on too. I did my first car Sunday morning. I had the worst time getting the film from the clear paper, and fingers. Tinting's fun, isn't it? I thought you weren't supposed to roll down the windows for a couple days. So if you install it right, you absolutely can roll your windows down right away. It's just, there's a lot of shops that will blame a peely window on a customer almost immediately. It's good to leave the windows, but the only reason that they might peel is that they hit the seal while they're still wet. So if you do a good job of locking down your windows, then you'll be fine. So that's why I'm, you know, still a little cautious, but I'm not afraid I'm going to peel it. All right, my guys.
He's got video from the car of his other car getting totaled.
Ooh.
He got rear-ended.
Ooh, I'll have to see that. I'm wondering if the card is somewhere probably in there. I might have left it resting on the middle and that might have fallen off. Oh, yeah, there it is. I found it. Okay. I got it. Don't panic. Does that ever happen? Does that ever happen to you? You like, you're busy, you're doing stuff, and then you like feel like you heard something fall? I don't know. And then you just like, maybe it did fall back there. Maybe that's what I heard. That's kind of what happened. I feel like it fell. Ooh, can you do one more thing for me?
Yeah, what you need?
Let's get his roof wiped off, because I made a mess of it. And everything else on this car was so sparkly. So at the very least, all the glass. What is the clearest tint color? 70%. Or 80 or 90. Some film brands have lighter than 70.
I've seen an 80.
All right, my guys. I'm going to hop off here. I got some stuff to do. Thanks for hanging out. We'll be back probably tomorrow. So there'll be more. But yeah, this one is all set. 50 on the sides. We did that 35 on the front. And we got that 50 on the windshield. One thing that'll make it look a little lighter are those seats. Those seats are they look great. They definitely brighten up your interior a little bit more. I've been learning how to tint on friends and family card based on your videos. Due to financial reasons, would you still recommend tinting classes? Tinting classes can help, but I'll tell you, if it's just your budget's really tight, just try and learn as much as you can without a class. I wouldn't put that much stress on a class. Classes are really beneficial. They'll help speed you up a bunch, but they will not make you a full-blown tinter right off of taking a class. But there are certain things that you can get stuck on that they'll definitely help speed you up on. Shrinking's a big one. But I mean, nobody just leaves not being able how to tint and then they're magically an awesome tinter from taking a class. It's very much a trial and error, and it's still a lot of work after you leave a class. But they are really helpful. All right, I gotta take off for now.